Hello and welcome back to Anime Homeschool Window Seat. We're your weekly anime podcast about bullshit. I'm your primary host, Morph. My pronouns are they and them. Joining me, as always, are...
I'm Bash, as usual. Pronouns are he, they. As you know me, I'm your local boys' love enthusiast and Attack on Titan hater here.
Hello. I am Podunk Diogenes, and I would like to mention that my pronouns are he, him, that I'm a enthusiast of sad girls and hater of K-On!, and that our lovely host here, Anamorph, has not given their enthusiast and unenthusiast descriptions.
I see. Okay. And I despise Death Note and like Shota. So we're moving on. What have we all watched this week? Are we calling you Poe? Is that what we've decided on? I've asked you this two weeks in a row now.
It's the best shorthand we got with this unwieldy name I've given myself.
I know Petey has watched.
Oh, gracious.
I'm just going to call you Petey from now
Podo.
on. Like Podo, Petey. I'm going to call you Petey. I think Petey works. Petey.
Oh no, now I'm a goofy character.
You were already a goofy character. I know Petey's been watching stuff because Petey's been showing me stuff, and I know Bash is... actually don't know anything about Bash. Bash, what have you been watching?
Man, I'm watching more Blood. That series is long as fuck. We're almost done with it. About little over halfway at this point.
Which one's Blood?
Blood Plus, that's the one where, it's basically vampires, but they call them chiropterans. And the girl has a special sword that she slices her blood into, and her blood's poisonous to the chiropterans, even though she's one herself. And her mission is to help this agency kill all the chiropterans, including her sister. And there's a whole bunch of history and, like, other weird shit, because she's been around for, like, decades.
Beyond the Boundary. Got it.
Boy, howdy do shows just love to make their own bullshit name for what vampires are.
I mean, yeah, that's a pretty common occurrence.
It's the same thing with, like, zombies in anything. Yeah. It's like, they're walkers.
Or
they're shamblers. They're clickers. They're slippy, sloppy boys. Like just call them fucking zombies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just for, like, to kind of set your show apart maybe from the others, to be like, if you're talking about, like, chiropterians, you're most definitely talking about Blood Plus.
Yeah.
I mean, at least they're not screaming dinosaurs like Darling in the Franxx.
Yeah.
So what have you been watching, Petey?
More of just the same of what, as far as my ongoing series are concerned. Overlord Season 4 and my stepmom's daughter's my ex. But I also just started recently watching Bungo Stray Dogs, and
ooh,
it's a shonen show. It is kind of funny. It is kind of funny watching alongside you, who has seen the series. It can kind of tell me when the author hasn't thought of an idea yet.
Yeah,
because it's like, oh no, these two people are injured. How their lives are in danger. But it's like, oh, the author hasn't thought of the idea that, like, the owner can, like, reset death once a month for the people under his command. Because, like, they introduced, like, a different doctor person to fix the problem first.
Rewatching the show for the third time now, it's very neat to see that, like, when Atsushi passes his entrance test, it's very clearly just an entrance test. It's like, we dreamed this up to see if you're brave enough to join the detective agency, and we didn't expect you to be ballsy enough to self-sacrifice, but that proved that you're brave enough to join us. And then later, when in season 2 they add another person to the detective agency, then suddenly it's been retconned that actually everyone has taken this test, and they've all self-sacrificed because that's the requirement to join the detective agency in order to become, like, under the purview of the president's power. And it's like, that is definitely not why it's like, it's very much like why Hisoka can turn a man's arms into flower petals in, like, episode 7 of Hunter x Hunter and then can never do that again because when that episode was made, Nen was not a thing that the creator of Hunter x Hunter had thought of
everyone
yet.
just had like weird magic tricks that they just like, in theory, they just trained really hard to do. I mean, it's still the same case with Nen, but Nen has a very much different rule set than it had in the beginning.
And I've been watching Drifting Dragons, which is a original Netflix anime. It's a CG anime, and it's actually really well made for a CG anime. Essentially, the concept is whaling. You know, like you're on a ship. You know, you're a bunch of Nantucket boys on a ship, and you know you're the captain's cabin boy, and you make sure that his cock is shiny. But then instead of hunting whales, you're hunting dragons, and instead of on a whaling ship, you're in a fucking airship, and it's steampunk, and you're in the sky. And like they attach their harpoons to the whale, and then zip line, or to the dragon rather, and then zip line over to the dragon with exploding lances. And then the force of the lance exploding sends them back up the zip line so they can get another lance to then go back down the zip line. It's very...
That's kind of funny because like, isn't like the whole process of whaling just like harpooning a whale and then waiting for it to like get tired enough to where you can stab it a whole bunch?
I mean,
I think so.
that would, essentially. But instead of waiting for the whale to get tired, they're going to it to stab it because I guess getting dragged around the sky is more dangerous than getting dragged around the ocean.
Yeah, I guess unfortunately, like an airship doesn't have the same sort of like buoyant force that a ship on a water has.
I also think they probably just thought, wouldn't it be cool to see someone zip line over to a dragon? And that was like as much thought as they put into it.
Yeah.
It's interesting because this is actually well animated for a CG show. It kind of shows all of the flaws of CG animated shows, which is that it has all of the same design principles of a not CG animated show, which is that only the person who is currently actively talking is moving, like in any other show. While in 2D, that's fine. In CG, it's incredibly noticeable that everyone else has just turned into a mannequin. And it's a shame because when they do start moving, they're very well animated. Like, it's not jerky, it's not hyper fluid, it doesn't it's not distracting. It's like very well animated when they are actually moving. But like then they stop talking and so they stop moving and then they're just in the background just like T-posing and it's like, huh. I mean, they're not literally T-posing. They're standing in a naturalistic pose, but they are not moving. And but they look volumetric, and so it's so much closer to the uncanny valley than 2D sprites get that it becomes much more noticeable that, wow, that person just fucking died standing up.
Yeah, I guess it's just one of those scenarios where, since they're 3D, that you expect them to behave a little more like 3D objects would. And thus when they just kind of still frame after talking, because I imagine there's more than just their mouths moving when they're talking, right?
Yeah, because it's CG, their entire face is completely rigged. So when they're talking, their jaws moving, their cheeks are stretching, their facial hair moves. It's well animated. That's what I mean.
But that means that then you notice all the movements not happening when they're just still there. Because in a traditional anime, you're not expecting a lot of movement because you just normally just see the lip flaps moving up and down, and someone leaning against a wall and then not moving anymore afterwards is more expected than in here, when it's we can do so much more movement. But then as soon as that movement's gone, it's that's not a live person anymore.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So that's what I've been watching this week. As for anime news, there's two main pieces of news. One of us should talk about one, and one of us should talk about the other. So, Bash, do you want to tackle the first thing, or did you find something else?
No, I can go over the first thing you're talking about. Is it talking about the Haikyuu movie that's coming out?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I didn't get to read all of this yet, but dude, this that's exciting as hell. So yeah, we're getting another movie. How many movies have they had so far? I don't even remember. Or have we had one at all?
I don't think there's been a Haikyuu movie yet. There's been several OVAs, and 5 seasons if you count the 2 parts of season 4 as 2 separate seasons.
So what is it gonna kind of go into? Oh, is it just gonna be a? Sorry.
I see. Okay.
I'm sorry.
So this is a 2-part OVA film. It's 2 films that tell one story that is the finale of the entire franchise's anime adaptation. So this will be the final part of the tournament arc, the championship tournament arc, and I have to assume that the first film is going to be the back alley brawl, and then the second film will be the final, the finale.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they skip the epilogue, which was awful in the manga, and I don't need to see it animated.
Oh, you know they're gonna do it though, for the manga fans, of course.
They can do an OVA. They don't need to do the movie.
No, I don't know. I feel like when you get like the finale movie, that's usually like the "we're not touching this again, leave us alone" movie.
They can put it on the Blu-ray extras. I don't fucking ruin the movie with that stupid epilogue. I don't need to see Daichi become a cop.
Oh, but they're all functioning members of society. Trademark.
TMCR. But it was announced earlier this month on the official franchise Twitter. And it looks like the premiere event for at least the first film will be next August, according to that Twitter, August 2023. At least according to Google Translate, because I don't read Japanese.
Right.
I tried.
Right.
I wonder if we're gonna get a premiere here in the States ever.
I mean, as far as movies go, we generally get them after the fact.
Yeah, no, there's been quite a few. It does definitely depend, but there has been quite a few that have made their way over here. That'd be kind of dope if it does, though.
Man. I'm not sure if we ever got, like, the Made in Abyss movies, for example, like the ones that are just the seasons of the show, like movie 1, movie 2, but we got movie 3, I think.
We got movie 3. We didn't get movie 1 or 2. I think movie 3 was a Fathom event, though, or whatever. Not a Fathom event specifically, but one of those like unique releases that was like a partnered event.
Well, yeah, but like a lot of anime movie releases are just like a 3-day to 1-day affair.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're only usually in like specific theaters. And rip if you're not close to one of those.
I see. My issue is that I'm close enough to enough of those theaters because my state has cities big enough to usually warrant that one theater in town has it.
There is one not terribly far from where I am that has had a good history of having them, but I've had instances where they're like,
I imagine now that I've moved, I'm probably closer to the one, considering the cities that I'm close to now, but like, it's not fun going to the movies alone, and also COVID, so, you know.
I know.
I've had to sort of break that habit of myself of like not watching movies if no one's with me, just because I just learned it's like, I just don't see movies then. But like I like going to the theater and watching stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The big screen, it makes things fun.
I've taken myself to the movies alone a couple of times. It's not the worst thing in the world.
The only time I've been to the movies alone was to see Man of Steel, and it was awful. I didn't want to go again.
Oh no!
I will say I did wait like a healthy chunk of time because COVID's still pretty much still happening, but at least the theater near me has some like nice precautions for it.
God, it's so hard to believe that like this anime started in 2013 and now it's ending in 2023. Like 10 years of Haikyuu.
Yeah, I regularly forget that it's been that long. I don't know why, but it just slips my mind that I was
What is that, like,
still in high school.
10 years for 4 seasons in a movie? Jeez, that's not a great time scale.
5 seasons in a movie, but yeah,
5 seasons. I just knew about the 4th season.
Well,
Yeah.
there's 4 seasons, but the 4th season was split in 2 and released like a year apart from each other.
Yeah.
Like Attack on Titan finale part 1, part 1.
And for anime season lengths, like the first and second season are both double seasons, like because the season 1 is 24 episodes long and season 2 is also 24 episodes long. It's season 3 that's a normal anime season length at only 13. So like it got quite a few anime episodes in that time. It just also had to wait for the manga to catch up, and like the manga ended a couple years ago, I think. It ended in 2020 if I'm not mistaken. And then
we're pretty much like out of the era of anime where the producers behind a show will want to finish the storyline of the show regardless of how much the source material like is out at the moment, and then go back later and do the actual adaptation.
There have been very few anime that have had the like stones to deviate very far from the source material enough to be willing to do that. And like ironically, the one show that was willing to heavily deviate from the source material did it for a manga that was already done. So like
wait, what was that?
That would
Promise Neverland.
Oh.
Right.
Yep.
So anyways, there's also one other piece of news that came out this week, which is that Studio Trigger probably, I would say it's probably this this podcast's it's probably this podcast's favorite animation studio, only because it would be Kyoto Annie, except PD here does not like Kyoto Annie.
Look, cute girls doing cute things stuff shows are just, I don't want to say bad. They kind of do nothing. They're do nothing shows.
A Silent Voice is your favorite anime movie ever made. I'm just gonna continue to put that out there.
Yeah, but that's not cute girls doing cute things. That's cute girls attempting to kill themselves.
It's still made by Kyoto Animations. Also, it's like your hatreds towards K-On! I'm not going to go into it.
We'll get to it.
We'll save that for the Patreon exclusive K-On! Episode that will eventually happen at some point in the future. Anyway, so Studio Trigger has a new anime that's been recently announced. It is an anime adaptation of Dungeon Meshi, which is a manga. It's a comedy manga based on Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Where it's very similar to Danmachi if Danmachi was a comedy instead of a melodrama harem anime.
Okay.
Where the entire like society of this world is very dedicated to this dungeon, and these adventurers are very high level adventurers, and they're down on like the 10th floor of this dungeon, the 10th level, and they lose, and one of them sacrifices themselves to get the others out with a teleport spell that uses all of her mana, and then she gets eaten by a dragon.
Oh, well, I mean...
And so they have a time limit to get back down to the dragon before she gets digested.
See, I just knew it as the fun little anime where they eat all the monsters.
And that's the other part of it. Because they're running on a time limit, they don't have time to go back to town to get supplies. They can only like recruit from the little like shopping area that's like little shopping area town that's like sprung up on the first floor of the dungeon. And so they're recruiting new adventurers, and they need to find a way to feed themselves to get in their adventure down to the 10th floor in this time limit that they have. And they managed to recruit a guy who's like dream aspiration ever since he was a kid has been to cook and eat monsters.
Is that the suit armor guy?
I don't know. I haven't actually read the manga. I'm only going off of the description from the wiki and my anime list.
I see.
It sounds interesting. I'm probably going to read the manga before it comes out because it sounds very funny.
Yeah, no, that sounds quite interesting.
And but yeah, other anime that it suggested that was similar to this is Toriko, which is another anime about trying to eat monsters. And
yeah.
That one has like that one's the old Dragon Ball or like original Dragon Ball feel, where it's just like going to place doing the thing because the places out there are fun and mystical.
Right.
So there usually be like some rumor of some prized meat monster, and they'll be like, "Ah, yes, we can go there for the prized meat monster."
I think we should probably cut ourselves off here for all of our prelude segments because today's main topic is, if you haven't seen from the title of the episode, is Fairy Tail. And we're probably going to use the remainder of the time we have for this episode and go over talking about Fairy Tail because it is one of the people on this show's top 5 anime of all time, and one of the people on this show's bottom 3 anime of all time. So we have a lot to say about this anime.
Oh boy.
And I'm just here in the middle because Fairy Tail was a show that I used to watch very consistently up until it reached a point in my life where like I wasn't watching anime and then I fell off of it and forgot where I had left off.
I did that.
Oh, don't worry, it's just a breezy 415 episods.
I did that, and then I rewatched all of it.
All I remember
I did that,
is like,
and then I rewatched all of it, and now I hate myself.
all I remember is like a pink/purple poison bog. And that's it. That's all I really
I think
remember.
there's so many of those instances I don't even know.
I was about to say, I don't even remember what you're specifically talking about.
Maybe, I forget what his name, Cobra or whatever his fucking name was, the poison dragon dude.
Oh, I don't think Cobra was involved with this, ironically.
Oh.
Okay.
Well,
it was just a hazardous terrain type poison bog where it's just kind of there.
Oh, that does happen. A lot of the creatures in Fairy Tail tend to use poison and those sorts of things.
I don't even know
that
if
it ever does anything.
I think it was just a thing they had to get through.
I hit my mic. Sorry, everyone. Sorry, listeners. So, to put it into perspective, I started watching Fairy Tail for the very first time because Bash showed it to me when we were in community college together. And at the time, I was also a fan of Sword Art Online. So that was my anime taste at the time that I thought Fairy Tail was okay. Now, that doesn't actually reflect anything because I still like Sword Art Online, but I now hate Fairy Tail. So, I was just setting you up, listeners, because I know all of you are fucking uber weebs, all 3 of you, and like you think that Sword Art Online is the worst thing that's ever graced this planet. So I was setting you up, and you fell for it. However, after falling off for like 5 years, I came to an agreement with Bash that if he read Homestuck, I would watch Fairy Tail. And I watched Fairy Tail, and it took me like a year and a half to get myself to watch it. And like finally at one point I was just like, I'm done. I'm gonna do this. And I watched like 200 episodes in like 3 weeks. And it was the worst thing I've ever done to myself, and I will never do anything like that ever again, which is why I'll never catch up on One Piece. And then it proceeded to take him an additional 2.5 years to catch up on Homestuck.
Oh my god, yeah, it took so long.
So, like, that's what happened with that. Now, I have a lot of opinions on Fairy Tail, so why don't we just start with the basics of what Fairy Tail is. And we'll start with the charitable explanation and allow Bash the fan to first be the one to take a crack at explaining what Fairy Tail is before I read it to Phil.
All right. Yeah, I'll just go into it. Pretty much, and for anybody who doesn't know, even though it's been around for quite a while, it's essentially a shonen style anime that is about our main character Lucy, whose dream is to join a guild and become a strong celestial wizard and go on all these adventures so that she can write. And the guild she wants to join the most is Fairy Tail, and through the first episodes of Shenanigans, she manages to meet one of the members and then gets introduced into the guild, and then we proceed to go on more adventures with this guild as they take on quests and find more things, and we start getting introduced to different antagonists throughout the story, and we start learning more lore about all the different characters that are involved in it. Trying to think of anything else to say. It's basically the main concept of it. From there, I found it incredibly fun and enjoyable. I think a lot of the characters are fucking hilarious, and some of the dynamics are a lot of fun to watch. I will rip into it a little bit because I'm just going to go ahead and put this out there. My biggest gripe with this show, as much as I love it, is it treats the character that's supposed to be the main character like absolute dog shit. And it's stupid because she's fucking fantastic. Lucy gets nerfed hard, like right off the bat. We start learning more about her and her past and like how powerful like her mother was and all this other stuff, and they don't let Lucy do shit at all. And like I know she's supposed to like be learning like one of the hardest magics within like this universe, but it's ridiculous to me that she's had all this like she should have had a lot of teaching beforehand and a decent amount of knowledge, and she is still decently strong, but the show just doesn't want to admit that Natsu is the main character, and that's why it's just going to let Natsu do whatever he wants and get away with everything.
God, the issue with Lucy's power is that a lot of games will do a thing where conjuration magic, because that's Lucy's big thing, she summons stuff.
Yeah.
And she has like the most powerful type summoning keys, like at least a couple of them, which summon like the embodiments of zodiac creatures. So like she has Taurus and she has Aquarius.
Yeah.
The problem is that the show gives all of those summons a strict power gap. Like it's not based on the strength of the caster. The caster's strength just determines how many of them are active and how long they get to be active, but their power level is just kind of set in stone.
Yeah.
But this is a shonen anime where people like talk about their friends to punch harder and raise their power caps over the string of seasons. But Lucy's stuck there with set power cap creatures that aren't even strong enough to solve problems in season 1. And this is supposed to be the pinnacle of conjuration magic. It's frustrating.
Yeah. It really is.
So, to be uncharitable, Fairy Tail is the third attempt by failed mangaka Hiro Mashima to create a One Piece clone. His first two attempts, Magician and Rave Master, both flopped. One did not even get an anime adaptation, the other did. I have included a screenshot from Rave Master in our Discord if both of you would like to take a look at it, because I think you'll see that it's literally just Lucy, Gray, and Natsu with Plu and the prototype of what I can only assume will eventually become Happy.
Probably. Because
this man only has one idea and has iterated on it many, many times. Now, Fairy Tail is it is a failed One Piece clone insofar as it doesn't actually remember that Luffy is the main character of One Piece, and it's One Piece as if told from the perspective of Nami, but in the style of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, where Ed just goes around and shows up at places and then watches people cooler than him do things cooler than the things he can do, and doesn't actually contribute to the story, which is like the main problem with Brotherhood. And it's the main problem with Fairy Tail, which is that Lucy doesn't fucking do anything.
The most terrible thing you could say about Lucy, and this is going to be need some big quotations around it, but she's the emotional heart of the group, and that the reason why other people care about what's going on is because it kind of negatively affects Lucy. Like, Lucy will generally be the one kidnapped or hurt, or generally the person that's, like, experiencing the bad thing. And everyone else is like, oh no, our friend is experiencing the bad thing. Let us go stop the bad thing.
She exists to be kidnapped and saved. Like, that is the entirety of her character. She is a sexy lamp to be acted upon by the plot.
Which is weird for your main character.
And she's the main character. Like, that's... the show is convinced that she's the main character, to the point that there are 4 different arcs in this show that are dedicated to specifically Lucy, to the point that one of them is centered around a version of herself from the future coming back in time to prevent her from ending the world and dying in the process to give her a chance at saving the world. And in so doing, Lucy gathers all of the summoning strength that she needs to, breaks one of her keys in order to be able to gain all of the power that she can, unites with another celestial summoner to bring all of the magic power that she can possibly muster together, and aims it all at the gate she needs to destroy to avoid ending the world, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. All of that happens, and it doesn't work. She breaks one of her keys, preventing her from ever being able to summon that spirit ever again. And it doesn't work. But do you know what does work? Natsu accidentally crashes into it, and it breaks. He doesn't even try to break it. He's riding a dragon like a bucking bronco and accidentally runs into it, and it breaks. So what that tells you in that moment is that Lucy matters so little that her doing everything in her power, every single fucking thing she can muster, literally breaking one of her keys, permanently nerfing her in order to muster all the strength she can, doesn't matter. Because Natsu just has to fart in the direction of the threat, and the threat will end.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And that's just the way that it treats Lucy. Like, the other problem with Fairy Tail is that the show has literally no stakes at all. It has none. It doesn't know what the definition of the word stakes are. You would think that based on the story that I just told you about this moment where a version of Lucy's self from the past comes back in time in order to die in order to save the world, like, that sounds like it has stakes. Lucy's past self is one of 4 total deaths in the entire anime.
Now, the wiki will try to tell you otherwise, but half of those deaths are just like character backstories, like, my wife died type situations.
She is one of 4 on-screen deaths of a named character. That's not like grunt number 4 from episode 17 or something like that. Like, a named character that actually dies. Most of whom are side characters. And I'm being generous and including Lucy's mother in this equation, because Lucy's mother technically dies on screen in a flashback.
Yes.
I'm also including Simon in this definition, who also technically dies in a flashback. So of the 4 on-screen character deaths of a named character, one of them is a future version of Lucy, one of them is a flashback of Gray's teacher, one of them is a flashback of Lucy's mom, and one of them is a flashback of Ezra's like childhood best friend / boyfriend. So like 3 of them are flashbacks.
The show also tries to do a bunch of things where just like, oh no, like this will end up like crippling the character in some way because they're pushing this way past the limit. But like, this is a shonen show where like all you need is like to be off screen and have enough time pass and you're fixed.
They have healer mages, it's fine. Most people will be okay.
This show literally does fake out deaths.
Yeah.
For several characters, at least 5 times. There is a moment where the leader of the Fairy Tale Guild, in order to like save the day, sacrifices himself, turning himself into stone in order to save everyone. And everyone acts like all sad, like, oh my god, I can't believe he did that and is gone forever. He's not. He's fine. He's literally fine. Nothing happens. Like, they don't even, like, come up with a way to save him. He just starts moving again, and slowly the stone fades away. Like, on screen. He doesn't even have to go off screen. He just slowly becomes fine again.
I think at that point when that came out, I was watching it weekly, and, like, I think I had caught up. And it was, I think they split that into like 1 or 2 different episodes. And so like, I was like, oh shit, did we finally have somebody like have stakes and suffer repercussions? And I was like fucking tore to shit about it. And I watched the following episode and I was like, oh, okay, sure, I did a lot of emotional labor there, but I guess you can bring him back. That's cool.
Oh,
yeah, you just get debated.
You know what's hilarious? This kind of reminds me of the whole situation where, like, in the middle of the show, because like the way their guilds, part of their guild system work is in the guild named Fairy Tale, is that there's like certain rankings that determine what jobs you can and can't do.
Yeah. And
there's S rank.
Yeah.
So at some point we're like, all right, we got all of our main A rankers from the Fairy Tales Guild, and we're gonna make them take the S rank exams. But, like, shenanigans happen, bad people show up, yada yada. But they time bubble themselves on the island that they take the exam on. And so, like, all of, like, Fairy Tale's strongest members are now, like, not present in the guild.
Yep.
For, like, I don't know, what was it, like 10 years?
7
years. And so, they come back, and their guild is like a shadow of its former self. It's, like, you know, weak as shit. They're, like, not even their main guild house anymore. They're in some dilapidated building, like, on like the boonies of town.
Yep.
It takes them like less than half of an episode, I think, of actually trying to fix the situation to get them back up to its former glory.
Well, yeah, because the moment they come back, there's like...
It takes them half an episode to get back into the guild house, and then it takes them an entire arc to get their like name back. Where like they were still called Fairy Tale, but like their credit as a guild back. And it's a stupid arc because it's just a tournament arc. It is. And it's a bad tournament arc. It's like a really shitty tournament arc. It's like, there are good tournament arcs. Like, as my problems with Boku no Hero aside, the season 2 tournament arc is fucking phenomenal. That's a good tournament arc. Then there are phenomenal tournament arcs like in Haikyuu. Don't you mean
Field Day, Sports Day Festival?
and then there's Fairy Tale's tournament arc, which has an entire fight, quote-unquote fight, which has no stakes. The losers don't suffer any consequences, which is just all of the girls from all of the guilds wearing bikinis underwater, bumping boobs into each other.
God damn it. I don't remember that episode. There's a lot of episodes to forget in this show.
Because it's a forgettable show. It's a bad show.
Did they discover was the giant other tournament arc, or was this the same tournament arc that had the 2 new artificial dragon fighters?
There's a few of them, but the only artificial one I remember off the top of my head is Luxus from Fairy Tale. The 2 new, they weren't artificial.
Because there's like prototype 3s, right? Because there's
he's right. The tournament arc is the one that has the 2 where they ate their own dragon parents.
Oh,
that's what he's talking about.
Okay, yeah, I forget what they classify them as different generations. I forget.
They're generation 3 because Natsu's generation 1, the artificial generation 2, and then 3 is what they were.
Yeah. It's I think it's the shadow and the like. I forget what the other one.
I think it's
like light or
still.
something. Yeah.
Which is
It's
weird
not
because we
lightning.
already had a light. No, it probably was still light. They probably did the whole shadow light thing.
They're part of that one guild that's led by the like dominatrix, and then she like
No, if I was like the physical, like the abuser, that was a dude.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the abuser's right-hand man is the dominatrix, and then the dominatrix takes over when he gets ousted at the end of this
I
tournament.
thought the dragon guy took over, the electric guy, or the light guy.
No.
Hold on, what are they actually technically called? What's not so? I keep wanting to say Dragonborn, but they're not.
No, they're not.
Are they the one? Are they
Dragon
the one?
Eaters?
They're not the guild that has the tiny man with the stupid face that like smells his own perfumes, right?
No,
It's
no,
not
no,
that
that's the
one.
manho
No.
one.
God, I hate this show.
I think that's...
This isn't even mentioning all of the different times that Gray fakes out doing Ice Wall. Like, at least 4 different times he sets himself up to do Ice Wall, and every single time, Natsu shows up out of nowhere to, like, fart on him and stop him. One time, Natsu is literally in a coma, his heart is stopped, and, like, he's dying because his, like, god half and dragon half are fighting with each other and like over who gets to be in charge of being Natsu's like power provider, like who gets to be his internet service provider, and like so he has fucking dragon cancer and his heart stops, and he fights his way out of this coma just to like hit Gray on the back of the head to stop him from saving the day. Like, no one is allowed to save the day except Natsu. Especially if it would mean they got to do something cool, like have consequences.
Yep.
And of course, then you have Juvia, who's constantly sexually assaulting Gray, and it's just never addressed.
I have never liked her from the moment she was on screen, and the moment she started that shit, I was like, I want you
used to
to
like her,
fucking go
but this
away.
is also before I kind of recognized what she was doing with assault.
Yeah, and like I hate where they went later in the series with her. Like it's fucking stupid that it got to the point where it's just like everybody's just pretty much pressuring Gray to accept her feelings, and it's like, no, she's a fucking creep.
Obviously, Gray and Leon belong together because like they train together as Shotas and under the same person, and they have the long-standing childhood rivalry, and they scream their feelings into each other's mouths over that like feeling of inadequacy, and then they saved each other. Like, obviously Gray and Leon are like the ultimate power couple. It sucks that like fucking Leo is like such a prominent character in the beginning of the show and then just fucks off.
Yeah.
Guess what, folks? Sting, who is the, let me make sure I get, like, the White Dragon Slayer. He is the guild leader of Sabretooth after that tournament arc.
Oh, God, that's been a hot...
I remember because they did the whole thing because part of the beef with, like, their guild was that, like, there was one specific person in there that was, like the person that, like, got constantly shit on. And so they have the new ownership, and they look like they're about to mimic the whole thing, but it was like a plot twist. We're not making her strip because we're trying to humiliate her. We're making her strip because it's bikini time. We got a pool in the guild hall now.
That's right. Yeah, they fucking basically said, fuck our guild leader. Like, nah. Because he was a shitbag, and that's when, like, Sabretooth was actually, like, considered quote-unquote evil. Because the Guildmaster used to also be a part of, or I don't remember if he was a part of it at the same time, but Tartarus, the Dark Guild.
Yeah. I'm on the wiki. Yeah, Gemini Orland.
Yeah, that guy. I didn't even really remember him.
Yeah, and his daughter Minerva Orland was like, she tried to take over as guild leader.
Okay,
but then I
my
think she
shit
gets
just froze
recruited
for
to
like
the
a hot
Dark
second,
Guild, Tartarus.
but I'm back.
It
That's
says
why
previous affiliations were Succubus Eye and Tartarus, but is now only a Sabretooth guild member.
Yeah, I think she gets saved.
Yeah.
She's evil, and she fights Ezra, and then Ezra kicks her, or Urza, sorry. And Urza kicks her ass, like hard, like really hard, like beats her down. Right, the Grand Magic Games. Oh, fuck the fucking Grand Magic Games. Yeah, no. Yeah, Minerva tried to be the Guildmaster, but then Sting overthrew her, and then she joins the Dark Guilds, and then she... it like looks like she's going to kill people multiple times, but again, no one dies in this show, and then... Oh no, there's one other death. Sorry, there's the fifth death. There's the one, like that one dude who's part of like the magic police who dies.
Yeah. Oh god. Fucking.
And I don't think he ever actually, unlike everyone else who like
no, he does not. He
back,
absolutely does not, which sucks because when they started introducing him, I was like, oh, you're cool. I like you. You're cute.
Well, yeah, he's a Megane, so of course.
Well, yeah, my type. And yeah, no, they pretty much immediately killed him off, and I was like, awesome. He's coming back, right? And then a couple more episodes, like, cool. He's coming back, right? A few more episodes, like, please. And then no, they said, nah, not this time. Yeah.
Yeah, Lahar, I believe, is the one.
Lahar, oh my god. And I like really, who was I'm trying to remember who the guy he interacted with a lot that I was like, yep, nope, these two.
Durandal, who does not die. Durandal
that
does
guy.
Not die.
He does
because
not,
no one dies.
And
I think Durandal is
and I was like, no, they're totally
I think
together.
That's just the name he uses as part of the Rune Knights. I think he has another name. Yeah, he does. Mest.
That's what
Mest
it is. Yep.
Name.
Man, this show has like a lot of potential as far as like why I originally became interested in it, which is just like there's not a lot of shows that end up doing like a very robust magic system, at least in the way that like other shows will maybe have like, if you're lucky, like 6 elements that people do magic by.
Yeah.
Light, dark, and then and then like fire, earth, water, air. And that's kind of what they stick to.
Yeah.
In this, pretty much anything can be magic.
Yep.
One person has like card-based magic, and it doesn't feel that out of place. And
someone has like, alcohol-based magic. Someone has gun-based magic.
Does someone have alcohol? Because the only person I know who drinks a whole bunch of alcohol does cards.
No, there is someone with alcohol-based magic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because like
unrelated to the person who's always drunk.
Yeah.
Right.
She's always drunk because she has daddy issues and her dad's a fucker.
Because like and like the concept of what it means to be like a dragon, like a dragon slayer, like magic user, where you exclusively have to replenish yourself on like the type of magic that you use, but you can't eat your own. Like that's fun.
It is.
The problem is that this show does not know how to do stakes, because like as we like it falls into like the Dragon Ball Z issue, where each villain doesn't have like a unique power. Like they both do and don't have a unique power that makes them think about it, because the answer is always just punch it harder, which means that it just becomes a power level issue, and the only solution this show has to solving a problem is to increase the numbers.
Yeah, and it which means that some forms of magic, like the main character's magic, gets outclassed very quickly, because the problem with a power leveling show is that it's not interesting if Lucy can summon a spirit and the spirit has just gotten stronger since the last time she summoned it. Like, unfortunately, because the show doesn't actually consider her the main character, even though they write her as the main character, it's very clear that the show is like, but she's not really the main character. She's the point of view character, and we keep saying she's the main character, but she's not really the main character. At no point does she ever go on like a journey in order to like try and make her spirit stronger, or try to like increase her bond with the spirits, which increases their strength. There's no mechanism through which her magic can become stronger other than accumulating more spirits. But eventually she will run out of spirits to collect, because the Zodiac keys are the most powerful. She has to break one of them to summon the Spirit King, and she gets 12 chances at summoning the Spirit King and only 12 Zodiac keys.
And the weird thing is that early in the episodes they established that part of one of the drawbacks to summoning magic is that you have to schedule timing conditions to which you could summon them. Like, she gets a Plu summon, and just like, how about Tuesdays and Thursdays? Does that work? All right, Tuesdays and Thursdays between the hours of 5 and 8. And it's just like, you have to go through all of these hoops just to be able to summon these sons of bitches. And then they're not even great. God, and it's just like, there's other people.
I mean, but like, to be fair, anyone can be, it seems like anyone can become a summoning magician, but like, at the same time, whereas you have to kind of be born to, like, a dragon to be a dragon slayer and then kill them to get their magic, like, that's not really, I know, fairy tale fans are going to be like, actually, Natsu is not Dragnel's child. It's like, yes, I know that. I know.
I saw that he's listed as a demon. I don't want to know why.
Oh, you don't? I can get into that.
Oh, God.
I can get into that.
I was talking about it earlier. I was talking about how, like, Natsu is part, and then, like, the two parts of him fight, and it gives him fucking magic cancer.
Yeah.
And it almost kills him. That's what I was talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And he has to pick. He has to pick which he wants to be because the demon magic is more powerful, but he could eventually lose control and become a monster.
Right.
And the dragon magic is less powerful, but it's what he's always known. So of course he picks the dragon magic.
You know what? Question, because this also concerns Natsu, or at least Natsu was how they were introduced. Do they ever bring out more God Slayers? Because like in the exam arc, there's there's an anger god slayer who just like feeds off like the fury, anger, or whatever it was. Like he eats emotions. Did they do more of those?
I don't think so. I think we just
God damn it.
I think we just get the 3, and like the one who converts to good is like the only one that like ever shows up again.
Because it was like Black Flames like was his thing, and after it's like, I can't eat this as a nod because it's emotional damage. Okay, there's 3 of them: lightning, sky, and fire. Okay, because fire god, I guess, was like anger issues.
And I think the lion, the lightning god slayer, like converts to not being a jackass. If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, and before I get, there is one person in the show who has summoning magic, but gets to power scale with everyone else. Because we just do the whole thing where we forget about things for a while. And that is Urza. Because Urza's whole thing is that she just fights with a whole bunch of different suits of armors and weapons. And all that's stored in a magic closet somewhere. And her magic is used to summon it on top of her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But see, she gets to punch. So, like, that's the thing what I'm saying is, like, Lucy is not punching. Lucy is summoning a thing that punches for her. So it is not compelling for Lucy to sit back and summon something that punches harder. It is compelling for Lucy to summon something and then someone else punch harder for her that is a character that we want to watch punch harder, like Natsu.
Oh my god, you know what they should have done? They should have done the fucking Digimon Season 3 thing, where she just fucking fusion melds with her summons.
Well, see, they do bring kind of sort of that concept in, because later on, she does start doing this training to start using some of their magical abilities that she can be granted if she wears, like, special celestial clothes from the spirits that she summons. It still doesn't do shit.
It just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't do fuck all.
It still doesn't. I know they introduced it as a concept and how it's this next stage. It's the next level for her. She's finally like reaching another peak and like getting a lot stronger because now she can finally do this.
And then she gets kidnapped again.
Yeah, she literally gets kidnapped again.
You know, this is kind of what happens when you give somebody supposedly like an N tier item in the beginning. Because the only 2 solutions to that problem are you have to restrict their use of it or make the N tier that they have actually weak.
I mean, this is why this is the reason why it's obvious that this the creator of Fairy Tail, Hiro Mashima, is actually bad at writing manga, because the entirety of Fairy Tail should have been Lucy hunting the Celestial Keys, and she should have had lower level spirits that are as strong as Natsu was at the time, And then as he gets stronger, then she needs to find keys that will match him. But ultimately, like, you need to find the 12 keys that open, and like, you need to find the 12 keys that open the gate. And oh, lo and behold, they, like, it gets hinted at that, like, hey, all of these other summons are keys. Wouldn't it be weird and wild if the Zodiac keys also summon spirits? And then, whoa, they do! But, like, just like with Leo, it turns out that, like, they're people that are around her and part of the guild that you have to, like, resolve their storyline before they can become a spirit that you can then summon. Like, I'm writing a story that's better than the story that we got.
Could you imagine if there was, like, a whole... I'm not sure, because, again, they could have done this whole thing, but could you imagine that, like, if, like, you could have done, like, if you wanted to rip off One Piece enough, you literally could have done a One Piece where, like, oh, hey, like, literally the method by which you summon all these things is keys. Wouldn't it be wild that all these keys went to some giant fuck-off door somewhere, and it's maybe hinted it's a bad idea to use them all, but, like, there's supposedly something really cool behind that door.
And then they find it, and then they open it, and it unleashes the dragons back into the world, and then instead of that getting resolved in 4.5 episodes because Natsu farted hard enough, instead, now they have to go back in time in order to figure out how to stop the dragons like they did the first time, and then now you've got a whole new story arc. It's like, there you go. I've written a better fairy tale. Because also, it's easy to write a better fairy tale because fairy tale fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Like, I know that we've been talking over Bash a lot. Bash actually really likes the show. And, like, they have a lot of problems with it, but, like, they really like it, mostly because they like the characters, especially Gajeel, who we haven't talked about at all.
No. We have not.
Because there's nothing wrong with Gajeel. Gajeel's fine.
He really is.
There's one more thing I want to...
Go ahead.
There's one more thing I want to say about the keys before we move on. Is that it seems like an issue that the only keys that do combat are the end game keys, the Zodiac ones. Because, like, Lucy has a couple of, like, non-Zodiac keys, one of which is, like, a clock that, like, can maintain perfect conditions inside of itself. Like, it's a walking grandfather clock. Yeah. But, like, that type of summon is only useful in a type of show that cares about unique solutions to problems and not punching it hard enough.
I mean, it's like it's literally what I was just saying, which is that they should have allowed Lucy to have better summons that were not the Celestial keys. Because
also, could you imagine if you had a mid-tier that was a combat summon and then you were exclusively using the Celestial keys, and that they would be like, man, I feel like I'm just not worthy to the group anymore because I'm just not strong enough compared to these other things.
And then now you have a whole character arc where one of your keys is betraying you because you made them feel worthless. Yeah. Like, yeah, wow, we're making whole storylines where Lucy's actually the main fucking character of the show she's the main character of. God, I can't stand Fairy Tail. And good news, everyone. If you would like to experience this first-hand frustration for yourselves, but in a week-to-week basis where you get to experience new instead of having to watch 400 episodes of old content, you can. Because Hiro Mashima has created a new anime that's just Fairy Tail again. And it's called Eden Zero, which is Fairy Tail in space.
Yeah. It exists.
It literally reuses Happy again. Like, Happy's just there.
I mean, I showed you the Rave Masters, which has Plu. Like, he doesn't have original... Like, he had one original idea, probably when he was in high school, and he's been milking that for all it's worth for, like, the past 25 years. Like, gotta give him credit. That's also what One Piece is doing, but, like, One Piece is at least entertaining. Allegedly,
theory,
I've been told. I've been told.
I mean, I've seen some of it, like, a long-ass time ago, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and then they took it off of Toonami, and I just didn't care to watch it again, and the next thing I knew, I looked it up, and it was well over 500 episodes long, and I was like, you know what? I'm good. Like, I'm sorry, that's a lot of catch-up.
Oh, let's see. How much of this show did I watch before getting bored?
Yeah, he'll watch 700 episodes of Naruto and 300 episodes of Inuyasha, but 500 episodes of One Piece is too much.
It's not 500 episodes of One Piece anymore.
No, now it's like 1,500, but like...
I don't remember exactly where it was, but I think that's my ballpark of where it was when I looked back at it, and I was just like, I'm not looking for a long series, no thanks.
Where... Where did I stop? Because I stopped horrendously early. But, like, as far as anime count, it's like I stopped in,
It
like,
doesn't
season
feel
2.
like you stopped horrendously early because, like, you're mentioning, like, things that happened, like, at least halfway through the show.
Yeah. I feel like you got
No.
through.
Of One Piece. Of One Piece.
Oh.
I was referring to One Piece.
Oh, I stopped before the Grand Line. I was so early.
I
was
don't
like,
remember when they took it off of
this is boring.
Toonami and like stopped showing it, so I don't remember where that ended.
I mean, I was also watching the 4Kids dub, so like
Mhm.
to be clear to anyone who just got offended at me saying it was boring, like take it in stride. I was watching the 4Kids dub.
I started watching when it was on like a while ago, like a year ago.
Use your rubber knife.
And it was on a. And so, like, I wasn't watching the 4Kids dub. But I only made it 22 episodes in before I got kind of bored.
Oh man, you were only 300 episodes from where it gets good.
Only 300.
And to remind people, I guess, who have, like, watched One Piece, episode 22 is in the middle of recruiting the smoking chef arc.
Mm.
In the sense that, like, every time... In the early episodes... Each arc has, like, one person to recruit in it. You know, the first one, it's Nami, and the second one, it's Lying McCoward, who I think is the epitome of that Posey skit where they get better later, I swear. and then the third one. Oh, Zoro's in there somewhere. Forgot about Zoro. And then it's whatever the hell is his name. What is this guy named? Sanji? Sanji.
Yeah. I remember like all of the
It looks like
names.
he's finally recruited him by episode 27.
Oh my god.
God damn it. Or maybe 30. It's hard to tell with these screenshots.
I have no clue.
God, it's too long for me. I just can't do long-running shonen anymore.
I think what I really had said was, I was like, this is probably getting close to being done. I was like, I'll just let this finish, and then I'll, like, watch it all in, like, one go. And then it didn't. It didn't stop.
Then it didn't finish. I think we're thoroughly off the rails now, and I think we've said all we need to say about Fairy Tail at this point, unless Bash specifically has any final thoughts about one of his favorite shows. All right, fair enough.
We're gonna end on all this negative.
Right. Anyways, this has been Anime Homeschool Window Seat. We will see you all next week when our episode is Why Goku Sucks. I hope you have a good one.
Bye.
So what if we made our own fairy tale?
We've already signed off.